Welcome to the Gold Standard Radio Show. I'm Craig Goldenfarb, your host and the founder of GOLDLAW. We've been a personal injury law firm in West Palm Beach for 25 years. This is the show where we spotlight the individuals and organizations making a real impact in our communities. Those who embody excellence, integrity, compassion, and the gold standard in everything they do. Every week we'll sit down with game changers, difference makers, and unsung heroes who are shaping the future of Palm Beach County and beyond. Whether it's through advocacy, innovation, or service, these are the people setting the bar high and showing us what it truly means to lead with purpose. So sit back, get inspired, and let's dive into the stories that define the gold standard.
This is Darius McDougall. I'm filling in for Craig Goldenfarb, and you are here on the Gold Standard. I'm here with Brandin Bryant, former NFL player, author, and activist here in Palm Beach County. Brandin, welcome to the Gold Standard.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you on. How's life been treating you post-NFL?
Life's been good. A lot of new experiences, a lot of new people, a lot of things that, a lot of skills that I'm developing. So it's a change of pace, but, it's welcome. Always enjoy challenges and learning new things, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. New father as well, right?
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's been fun, man. It's been one of the funnest things, most enjoyable, rewarding things I've ever done. Been very enjoyable. I don't have one bad thing to say, man. He sleeps like a baby, looks just like me, so
absolutely,
it's been good, man. I love it. He's 9 months now. He's standing up, trying to walk. He's crawling. Big kid, almost 30 pounds already. So
awesome. Another one in the making. Awesome. Yeah. So many people know you as a powerhouse on the field, but tell us about you beyond the game. Who's Brandin Bryant at his core?
So at my core, man, I'm someone that just likes new challenges. I like challenging myself. I like developing myself. I like getting the best out of myself, and I like being around people that are the same way. And I also like being around people that I like impacting people, and I don't mean that in a condescending way or like a, super egotistical way, but I think it's our responsibility to, help the next generation and help people learn from areas that we may have lacked in or mistakes that we have made.
Absolutely, yeah. So transitioning from professional football to writing and activism is a big shift. What was there? Was there like a defining moment? What set you on this new path?
Well, playing football as a professional, you meet a lot of people, and you are in the community a lot. And you are blessed to be in that situation. And you are constantly around other people who are blessed. And you're also around people who may not be so blessed. So, like I said, I think it's our responsibility to, and like I said, I don't want to make it sound like, I'm better than anyone, but I just think it's your responsibility as a person that you can leave the world better than you found it.
Absolutely.
So being in the NFL and being able to go to these different community events and seeing where society maybe is lacking, and it's like, we have a responsibility as athletes who are role models to try to make a change. So I was blessed with a platform. I was blessed with influence simply because I play a sport. So I think it is selfish for me not to use that in a positive way. So when I realized I had a platform and I realized I had this creative passion and I could put these two things together to help kids, to spread literacy, to spread the message of my books, and to be a voice and an amplifier of certain subjects and topics that, maybe aren't getting that light or that attention, I'll never turn down an opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah. Talk to me about some of those valuable lessons that you learned as a pro athlete. What did it teach you? And how did you carry it into your life and your work right now?
So, one, be humble. Like that book by Ryan Day, Ego is the Enemy. Yeah. And it truly is, right? So you got to be able to, set your ego aside for the greater good. And that comes with making yourself a better athlete, right? Because to admit you need to be a better athlete, you're admitting that you have deficiencies.
Absolutely.
So to look in yourself, find these deficiencies, take the responsibility to understand, I'm not good at this, or I'm not as good as I could be or should be because of the lack of the work I'm putting in, or a lack of attention to detail, or a lack of whatever it may be. So that constantly stays with you as a person long after you leave the game, because you understand that there's room for improvement everywhere. So that's one of the things that I was able to take from sports and to use as I pivot into other careers.
Yeah. I mean, athletes often face pressure to stick to their sport,
Yeah.
right? Even for myself, as a 7-footer, I got the chance to play a lot of ball around the country. How did you find the courage to carve out something new in your identity beyond football? I mean, for myself, like I'm mentioning, when folks look at me, they see this giant of a person, and then they hear about my professional life, and it's hard for them to see how you could transition, and then you have to walk them through kind of your journey beyond just either the field or the court. How did you do it?
Yeah, and it's a different experience because you're starting from scratch, right?
Yeah.
And I was just actually talking to one of my classmates at FAU who went to play in the MLB for a few years, and he was telling me, like, man, it was just different because he played in the MLB for 5 years, but now that he's come out, and I believe he was going into advertising or something like that, but he's like, now he's starting at the bottom, and now he's going against 21-year-old kids, 22-year-old kids.
Exactly.
So, it is a unique experience, but, like I said, it's just those lessons that you learn and those skills that you acquire, and you just have to realize, like, yeah, I'm here, I'm starting from scratch, I'm starting at zero, but at the same time, I'm not, because these lessons that I learned while playing this sport, these interactions that I've had, and these skills that I developed are transferable. So, you have to keep that in mind.
Who were your biggest mentors on and off the field? And then what's the best piece of advice that they gave you?
So I had a bunch of mentors, some household names. Man, my rookie year with the Seahawks, man, Richard Sherman was a very, vocal leader on the team and gave me just tons of advice. Okay. Close family friend of mine, Niles Paul, who grew up across the street from my grandmother, who was one of the only, All-Americans where I'm from, one of the only athletes to actually get a Division I scholarship and play in the National Football League. So to be able to see, his name's Niles Paul, to be able to see him accomplish these goals, to play Division I, play in the NFL, and in the same breath, he would invite me to Nebraska while I'm in high school, while he's there training, to see how everything's going. And then the same thing when he played for the Washington Redskins, now the Commanders, did the same thing. So spring break, I'm not in Miami, I'm not in Panama Beach partying with friends.
Exactly.
I'm up in D.C., Virginia area, watching the then Redskins practice.
Right.
So being able to see these things, and then Barb Schmidt, who is a friend of mine who introduced me to wellness, meditation, and mindfulness. So these are all people, and tons of people I played with. Mario Addison, who was, we called him old head when I was with the Bills. He played 12 years, and being able to see the way he was able to go undrafted or 7th round pick and play 12 years in the NFL. So constantly just, seeing these people who are selfless and they're, servitude, being able to offer advice and mentorship and being accepting of it. But all those people I named plus others helped shape my career and, the way that I think and go about these things.
Absolutely. Now an author. Tell us more about this book. What inspired you to write the books that you've written? Let me know more about that. The audience wants to know. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my first book, So You Want to Be an Athlete. Then my second book, Can I Pet That Dog? These books have nothing to do with each other, but So You Want to Be an Athlete was a book I actually wrote during the pandemic. So I'm at home, pandemic, just like everyone else, stuck in the house, and I see a stat come across my TV. Kids are not as literate as they once were.
Yeah. And
the rates are only falling behind. And if a kid is illiterate by this age, then this is what it means. And the things that happen when a kid is illiterate by 4th or 5th grade, pretty much after that point, if you're not literate by 4th, 5th grade, you never will be.
Okay.
And if you are a statistic waiting to happen. And when I say a statistic, I mean, teenage pregnancy, homelessness, incarceration, all these things, right?
Sure.
So at that point, I realized, okay, something needs to be done. Why not do it myself? So it's pandemic. I got, I hate to say it like this, but I got nothing better to do.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm going to write a book. Like, this is something I spoke about for a couple of years now. I'll write a book. And instead of writing juvenile fiction, like I always envisioned myself writing something like Harry Potter, something super creative with 10 different titles. I was like, you know what? Let me write a book that exposes kids to different professions. Because that was another thing I learned around that time. The kids gravitate towards professions that they are familiar with. So if you grow up around drug dealers, if you grow up around engineers, if you grow around lawyers, doctors, if you grow up around football players, that is what you think you can be.
Absolutely.
But if you only see one and you don't see the other, you're more than likely never to even think you can accomplish that that goal.
Exactly.
So I was like, well, a lot of kids in these neighborhoods, or in most neighborhoods, they can't name an engineer, lawyer, or doctor, but they can tell you who Tyreek Hill is, and they can tell you everything about him.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids that can tell you everything about Tyreek Hill don't understand it's a less than a 1% chance of making it to the NFL. Yeah. So, you got careers such as lawyers, engineers, and doctors. So it sounds hypocritical because I wrote a book about sports, but the books that I wrote at that time, which I still have and I will publish in the future, was all about exposing these kids to different careers. Yeah. So I wrote, so you want to be an athlete, so you want to be a lawyer, so you want to be a doctor, so you want to be an attorney, so you want to be a teacher, so you want to be a police officer, so on and so forth. Okay. But the athlete book obviously spoke more to my brand, so I decided to do that one first. So, and then all that, I wanted to write books that attract the kids to literature. Yeah. So I know kids don't like to read. They call them reluctant readers, not because they don't like to read, because they don't have topics that they've seen. A kid's not going to go in there and pick up a book about a guy who's been dead for 200 years, who looks nothing like him. Yes. Thomas Edison or Benjamin Franklin or whoever else it may be. They're just not going to be interested in it. But if they see a book that they're interested in about sports, or maybe we find a way to get a doctor that kind of notoriety, and they read that book as a kid, they're going to be interested. They're going to pick it up, and before you know it, they're going to realize I actually love reading. Mm-hmm. So that was the goal. Write about topics that kids enjoy, and they'll gravitate toward it.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back to the Gold Standard.
At GOLDLAW, we live by 6 core values: respect, integrity, innovation, compassion, success, and finally, the gold standard. Because good enough is never enough. These same core values are what drive the incredible leaders we feature as guests right here on the Gold Standard Radio Show. If you need a law firm that stands for excellence, fights for justice, and truly cares about you, give us a call at 561-222-2222. Because at GOLDLAW, we don't just represent cases, we represent people. So remember, choose the twos. Choose GOLDLAW.
Every day, 1,500 children in Palm Beach County wake up in foster care through no fault of their own. They have been torn from everything they know, facing fear, uncertainty, and unimaginable hardships. Many have suffered neglect, abandonment, or abuse, and now they must navigate a complex system that often falls short of meeting their needs. But they're not alone. That's where Speak Up for Kids steps in. We provide life-changing advocacy, life skills training, and essential resources to help these children heal, grow, and thrive. From educational support to everyday necessities, we bridge the gaps so they can have a future filled with possibilities. But we cannot do it alone. These children need champions, someone to stand in their corner, fight with them, and remind them they are valued and not forgotten. Will you be that champion? Visit www.speakupforkidspbc.org today and take action. Your support, whether through donating, volunteering, or simply sharing our mission, makes all the difference. Together, we can bring hope, stability, and a future to children who need it most. Don't wait. Take action now. Visit www.speakupforkidspbc.org and be the hero they deserve.
And welcome back. We are here at the Gold Standard. Talk to me a little bit about the core message that you hope readers will take away, so that the kids will take away. What's the core message, though, that you want them to grab onto? So we know that we want them to get, books in front of them. But is there a message that you're looking for them to take away after they're done reading your books?
Yes. The first thing is just exposure. I see it. I can do it. It's no matter at that age, and it's ironic. I just left Dillard High School in Fort Lauderdale, and we're talking about the same thing. And at that age, you can, and it's cliche, right? Everybody, but literally at that age, you can literally be anything you want to be, right? Like, if someone was to tell me right now, look, Brandon, you got 5 to 8 years to study whatever topic this is and become the best at it. I'm pretty sure if I do it right and I put the right energy into it, I could do whatever that is, whether it's being a governor, being a mayor, being a doctor, engineer. Like, if you give me that much time and I'm serious about it and I make the right choices, I'm pretty sure I will master whatever skill that is. So I want to introduce kids to these careers at an early age and understand that it is going to be hard. Nobody's saying it's going to be easy, but it can be possible. It's going to take a lot of determination, a lot of discipline, a lot of effort, and you're going to miss out on a lot of things. But if this is what you want to do, if you put the time in, it can happen.
I really like that. You talked a few different titles that you potentially might drop. What else is kind of in your portfolio that you're looking to put out there for the masses?
Books.
Yeah.
So I'm currently working on a couple financial licenses. Studying for the SIE Series 66 and maybe Series 6 or 7. I'm not sure yet. Wherever that goes, we'll see. But I'm going to do a book about finance incorporated into the So You Want to Be. So I have it finished. Where it is, I should have a book deal from a traditional publishing house soon. So we'll see how that goes. But I will have a book about finance. And I don't know if that'll be with a traditional publishing house or it'll be self-published like the rest of my books. So be on the lookout for that. And then I also have a book called So You Want to Learn Spanish. Because I'm currently studying Spanish. So it was just easy for me to write because I'm probably at a third grade Spanish level right now. So it's easy for me to write a book to third graders about learning Spanish because we speak the same language, literally. And I got a book about a kid who finds himself in a library mistakenly, but enjoys it and has the time of his life.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, we got a bunch in the pipeline. I have I have over 8 books ready to go. Now it's just finishing it, fine-tuning it, and, getting the illustrations, and, then the business side of it takes over.
Yeah. There's a lot of folks looking forward to that, and I'm one of them.
Thank you.
You're also passionate about working in the community. What sparked that drive for you to be more involved in the community, in the Palm Beaches and beyond? You're also at one of the universities here. What sparked that interest for you?
And honestly, it's a need for it. And I remember a couple things. One, I'll talk about both. There's a need for it. And two, I enjoy it, right? So there's a need for it, right? And I remember being that kid where, let's just be real, man. As great as my parents were, you're more likely to listen to other people sometimes than you are your parents. Your parents can only tell you so much.
So true.
But it takes a village to raise the child, right? So if you can be that extra voice that's echoing what these parents saying, and you just happen to be a professional athlete, these kids are going to listen to you. So exactly. I feel like it's my duty, and I remember being that kid, and, these Johnny Rogers, who's a local legend where I'm from, Heisman Trophy winner, Amon Green, like I said, Niles Paul, just different people in the community who would every once in a while come back and speak to us. And I would always say, maybe I didn't listen to anything in school that day, but when Johnny Rogers came to my school and talked, even though he was done playing well before I was born, right. Seen him on commercials. My grandfather knew who he was. I listened to him.
Exactly.
And, just with all that and to backtrack, I remember being in 11th grade and I had a teacher, right? His name was Mr. Thomas. Crazy enough, he was probably the third, I was in 11th grade. He was maybe the third or fourth male teacher I've ever had in my life, which, no offense to the female teachers, they're great. But it's, it's a different level of understanding when you can relate to someone who, understands you a little more. And I'm in 11th grade. He's the first black teacher I've ever had.
Wow.
So African-American studies, he speaks to us. And I'm just like every other kid at that age, last class of the day, really didn't listen. But he started talking. And his story, where he chose to begin that story, was exactly where I was in life.
Okay.
He was like, I was in 11th grade. I was good at basketball. I had a scholarship offer. My grades were terrible. My mom didn't understand what was wrong with me. My parents were doing all they could. Sure. I just didn't care about school. Yeah. And he's telling this story. His name's Barry Thomas. Yeah. He's telling the story, and he said, man, I had this GPA. And I'm like, dang. At this point, I'm embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed. I really don't care. My GPA was like a 1.4, right? And that's just from lack of effort.
I hear you.
Right? So that's D average, C average, D plus, I don't know. And he's telling the story. I'm like, wow, that's me. And he was like, I got my grades just right in the nick of time. So literally after that conversation, I started taking school serious. Okay. I ended up graduating with just a high enough GPA to be Division I, to become Division I eligible. Right. And I ended up getting a high score in the ACT because I was never a dumb kid. It's just schoolwork. It just didn't seem important to me.
Yourself,
thought I was, go to the NFL, everything would solve the problems would take care of themselves. So to flash forward, graduate with just a high enough GPA. Go to FAU, graduate with a 3.8 GPA, 4.0 my last 2 semesters. So it was just all effort. And then on top of that, why I'm active in the community is, man, I've heard something on a podcast couple years ago, and it talks about actually the selfishness of community service.
Yeah.
And it says most people who do community service or a good deed, they actually don't do it for the community, but they actually, because you enjoy it. You know, you do it from yourself because it's rewarding, it's enjoyable, you love it. Most people who do good deeds, they really, and it's selfish may not be the right word, but you truly enjoy it, right? You're doing it because it makes you happy and it gives you a source of fulfillment. So I think that is part of it. I really enjoy it. You know, I enjoy going out there, going to the kids, knowing that I had an opportunity to make someone's day. I had the opportunity to possibly have impact on someone's life. And like I said, even if I don't enjoy it, I do it because I truly believe that it's the right thing to do, and it's our duty. It's our civil duty, to make our communities and world a better place.
Exactly. So when we look at some of some of the challenges that youth have, right? What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that some of the youth faces right now?
Yeah.
Some of the kids that you're dealing with, on a regular basis that you see in the community. What are they struggling with?
So I just left Dillard High School in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, and
Okay.
I asked her that question, and she said that it's just lack of attendance. She said that's the biggest issue with that school and that school district. She said it wasn't drug use, even though the event was about above the influence, not saying no to drugs. She said it's not drugs. The kids are actually they're not really that into drugs, this current generation.
Right.
She said tobacco was a big problem,
Okay.
and I guess like the Zen packets and all these
Okay.
things the kids just think are cool, and lack of attendance. But the thing I usually see personally is just, and this isn't a kid thing, it's probably more of a parent thing, but it's just lack of accountability, right? So if you're a parent and you enable your kids throughout this process, let's just talk about sports. Why isn't my kid playing? Why isn't my kid doing this? It's not his fault, it's your fault as a coach. Why is it, why? Okay, well, you want to know why? Your kid, he isn't applying himself, but this other kid that I'm playing is. He's working very hard, so I'm going to play this kid instead.
Okay.
Same thing in schoolwork. It's not a thing about what our natural abilities are, or what we were born with, who's born the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, is who puts the most work in. And like you said, I work with college kids as well, and I think that's the same problem all the way in college, all the way to the NFL, all the way to 30, 40-year-olds. It's the natural thing to do is point the finger and blame someone else for whatever your shortcomings are.
Exactly. Are there any initiatives, specific ones or projects that you're working on right now that you're really excited about? Something either that's, just about to happen or that you're currently putting time into?
Yeah. So I'm actually super excited to partner with Kelly Methrins, who was just the director of the NFL Trust, the NFL group for NFL former player benefits powered by the NFLPA, and Kelly Methrins nonprofit. So with her, we're going to go to South Side Chicago, do an event. We're going to read the book and, have a community day. We're going to go to New York as well, but we're going to start off in my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm super excited to go to North Omaha, get everybody involved. Like I said, my guy that I talked about, family friend Niles Paul, be involved, hoping we can get Bud Crawford involved and all the other guys from my city that are, currently, in the realm of athletics.
Absolutely. Looking at daily habits or routines, as a former athlete and still an athlete, talk to me about how you keep yourself mentally and physically strong.
Mentally strong, meditate a lot, man. I meditate, so just mindfulness, I'm constantly meditating, constantly being mindful of what I do. Purpose and intent is a big thing I like to live by. I'm writing down my goals. I'm checking them off. I think that does something for your mind. That power when you see, I wrote this down, no matter how big or small it is, and I check it off. Something simple as reading 10 minutes a day. That's something that I like to do. And we talk about reluctant readers, reading reading for 10 minutes a day can seem like a chore. Studying Spanish, that's something that keeps me mentally sharp. And just, not turning down any opportunities, man. So that's one thing I told myself I'm going to do is I'm not going to turn down any opportunities. If I got to drive up here 50 minutes to do a radio show with Mr. McDougal, I'm going to do it. If I got to go to Fort Lauderdale 2 hours before to talk to the kids, I'm going to do it, because everything is an opportunity to practice your skills. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I just got an opportunity to talk to 3,000 people. That's the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. So that was amazing. Thank you. And I run now. So
Okay.
I don't squat 700 pounds anymore.
Sure.
But I can run 5 miles at a time. So I run around 10 miles a week. I'll run 3 miles every Sunday. I'll run 2 miles on Monday, 2 miles on Friday, 1.5 here, 1.5 there. So on average, I'm running 10 miles a week.
Awesome.
So yeah, those are all the things.
If there's one message that you could leave our listeners today, what would it be?
Believe in yourself, and that's easier said than done. But find a way to believe in yourself, even if you got to lie to yourself for a little bit. You know, that sounds a little, counterproductive. Believe in yourself. You got to lie to yourself to believe in yourself. Yeah. But you got to convince yourself that you are all you need, right? And then once you have that, once you believe that you are all you need, and you find what you want to do and you get on that track, you can't be stopped, because your mind will find ways to make these goals come true. So everything good starts with believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you don't stand a chance.
That's powerful. Brandin, tell our audience, how can they find your books, whether it's online, in the bookstores? How can they connect with you? How can they be more connected overall to what you're doing and the work that you're doing in our community?
So my website is brandinsbooks.com. My name's spelled with the I, Brandin with the I, plural, Brandin's Books. Same Instagram handle. Those are the two main ways. And then, once you get there and find my link tree, you'll find the book everywhere. The book's on Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, so on and so forth. The book's everywhere, and my website is very descriptive on how to find these things. But I'm very active on Instagram, YouTube. I try to repurpose the content for TikTok, but I'm not on there that much. But sure, you can find me on Instagram.
Sure. Brandin, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Glad that you could come out to the Gold Standard. We look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Gold Standard Radio Show. A huge thank you to our guests for sharing their incredible journey and for being a true beacon of excellence in our community. At GOLDLAW, we believe that when we lift others up, we all rise together. If you know someone in our community making a difference, someone who lives and breathes the gold standard, we want to hear about them. So please reach out, connect with us on social media, and let's continue celebrating the people who are shaping a brighter, stronger future for all of us in Palm Beach County. Until next time, I'm Craig Goldenfarb. So stay inspired, stay committed, and keep raising the gold standard.